Here we are, day 991 of the Trump administration, and the president's telephone conversations with foreign leaders appear to be what is presently engulfing his White House. Trump's now famous phone call with the Ukrainian president awakened the Democratic Party, launched a rapidly expanding impeachment inquiry, and a conversation with Turkey's president has led to a decision on Syria that members of this president's own party say threatens our national security. On the impeachment front today, the House Intelligence Committee subpoenaed documents from the Secretary of Defense, Mark Esper, and the acting OMB director, Russell Vought, related to the withholding of military aid to Ukraine. That brings the number of Democrat subpoenas to 5, including the Secretary of State, President's lawyer, acting Chief of Staff Mick Mulvaney. The attorney for the first whistleblower has now confirmed that at least one more whistleblower has indeed come forward, and this one has firsthand knowledge of potential misconduct. Washington Post reporting House Democrats negotiating for testimony from the first whistleblower are considering extraordinary measures to conceal that person's identity because the law calls for protecting their anonymity. Options include having that person, quote, testify from a remote location and obscuring the individual's appearance and voice. One Democrat on the Intel Committee explained the concerns here.
The president is basically threatening the whistleblower. The fact of the matter is that we can't guarantee 100% assurance or safety for this whistleblower in the current situation using normal methods or measures.
This week, House Democrats will hear from 2 top diplomats involved in this Ukraine scandal, a Trump donor who is U.S. ambassador to the European Union. He will testify tomorrow. His text messages revealed his involvement in negotiations with the Ukrainians. And the former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, who was ousted from her post, is scheduled to answer lawmakers' questions on Friday. As Congress investigates the whistleblower's allegations, NBC News is reporting that Trump's new national security advisor, Robert O'Brien, is working to reduce the national security staff from about 300 to about 200, which brings us to the other controversy stemming from a Trump phone call. His conversation most recently with the president of Turkey, Erdogan, and ultimately Trump's decision to pull U.S. troops out of northern Syria hours after that phone call. The move clears the way for a Turkish military operation in the region. It also leaves our closest regional ally in our fight against ISIS, the Kurds, who have fought side by side with us for years, open to attacks from Turkey, which views the Kurdish forces to be a terrorist insurgency, every one of them. NBC News reports Trump's decision blindsided Kurdish forces as well as senior officials at the Pentagon, as you might imagine, and the State Department and the White House, lawmakers on the Hill, and our own European allies. This morning, Trump sent out a warning saying, quote, if Turkey does anything that I, and we're quoting here, in my great and unmatched wisdom, consider to be off limits, I will totally destroy and obliterate the economy of Turkey. I've done before. No one knows what that last item is a reference to. And yes, Congress quickly piped up, and some members of Congress are genuinely outraged. But the difference this time, to be candid, is that some of them have an R after their names.
ISIS is not defeated, my friend. The biggest lie being told by the administration that ISIS is defeated. The caliphate's destroyed, but there are thousands of fighters over there, and no, the caliphate would not have been destroyed without the Kurds. This impulsive decision by the president has undone all the gains we've made, thrown the region into further chaos. Iran is licking their chops, and if I'm an ISIS fighter, I've got a second lease on life.
And how about this from Mitch McConnell? We quote in part, a precipitous withdrawal of U.S. forces from Syria would only benefit Russia, Iran, and the Assad regime, and it would increase the risk that ISIS and other terrorist groups regroup. Late today, Trump met with senior military leaders at the White House for a briefing in the cabinet room. Shortly before that, he defended his decision to withdraw troops.
We've been in Syria for many years. You know, Syria was supposed to be a short-term hit, just a very short-term hit, and we were supposed to be in and out. That was many, many years ago. Iraq, you know all about that. Turkey, Syria, let them take care of it. Let them take care of it. We want to bring our troops back home. It's been many, many years. It's been decades in many cases. We want to bring our troops back home. And I got elected on that.
Did you consult with the Joint Chiefs of Staff and made the decision?
Sure. I consulted with everybody. The two countries that are most disappointed that we're leaving are China and Russia, because they love that we're bogged down and just watching and spending tremendous amounts of money instead of continuing to build our forces.
But then just tonight, we remembered back in 2018, the president's own words about those loyal Kurds.
We do get along great with the Kurds. We're trying to help them a lot. Don't forget, that's their territory. We have to help them. I want to help them. Go ahead. What's next? They fought with us. They fought with us. They died with us. They died. We lost tens of thousands of Kurds died fighting ISIS. They died for us and with us and for themselves. They died for themselves. But they're great people. And we have not forget. We don't forget. I don't forget what happens someday later, but I can tell you that I don't forget.
Hey there, I'm Chris Hayes from MSNBC. Thanks for watching MSNBC on YouTube. If you want to keep up to date with the videos we're putting out, you can click subscribe just below me or click over on this list to see lots of other great videos.